The Watcher in the Attic. On the outskirts of a small, sleepy town, nestled in the shadow of a sprawling forest, stood an old Victorian house. Its paint was faded, windows clouded with dust, and the garden overgrown with weeds. For years, it had been abandoned, a relic of the past, until one autumn when a young couple, Mark and Emily, moved in, hoping to restore its former glory. From the moment they stepped inside, they could feel the weight of its history. The floors creaked with every step, and the air was thick with the scent of age and decay. They loved it. It was their dream home, a place to start anew. The renovations began immediately. Mark, a carpenter by trade, focused on the structure while Emily, an artist, envisioned the decor. They spent long days working, often late into the night. It was during one of these nights that Emily first heard it, a faint scratching sound coming from the attic. "Probably just a raccoon," Mark said when she mentioned it. But the scratching persisted. It became a nightly occurrence, always around midnight. One night, the sound was accompanied by a low, almost imperceptible whisper. Emily froze, her heart pounding. She shook Mark awake. "Listen," she whispered. They sat in silence, ears straining. There it was, the scratching, followed by a faint whispering. Mark's face grew serious. "I'll check it out tomorrow," he promised. The next day, Mark climbed into the attic. Dust hung in the air, illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. He scanned the room but found nothing unusual. No signs of animals, no explanation for the sounds. Satisfied, he descended the ladder. "It's just the house settling," he told Emily. "Old houses make noises." But Emily wasn't convinced. The whispering grew louder, more distinct. It seemed to be calling her name. "Emily, Emily." It echoed in her mind, relentless and chilling. She began to feel watched, an uneasy sensation that prickled her skin. One evening, while Mark was out, the whispers grew unbearable. Desperate for answers, Emily grabbed a flashlight and headed to the attic. She climbed the ladder, her hands trembling. The attic was cold, much colder than the rest of the house. The beam of her flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but dust and old furniture. "Who's there?" she called, her voice shaking. Silence. Then the whispers began again, louder, more insistent. "Emily, help me." The flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. Panic surged through her. She fumbled for the ladder, but something cold and clammy closed around her ankle. She screamed, yanking her leg free and scrambling down the ladder. She slammed the attic door shut and locked it. When Mark returned, he found her huddled in a corner, eyes wide with fear. She told him everything, the whispers, the cold hand. Mark was skeptical, but concerned for her sanity. He decided to investigate once more, this time armed with a crowbar and a lantern. He climbed into the attic, Emily watching from below. The air grew colder as he searched, his breath visible in the dim light. Then he saw it, a small, hidden door at the far end of the attic. It was old and warped, the wood splintered and decayed. With a sense of dread, he pried it open. Inside was a tiny room, its walls lined with old newspapers. In the center was a child's rocking chair, gently swaying. Mark's blood ran cold. As he stepped closer, he saw a figure sitting in the chair, a young girl, her eyes hollow and vacant, her mouth moving in silent whispers. "Emily," she hissed. Mark stumbled back, nearly dropping the lantern. He fled the attic, slamming the door shut behind him. He found Emily and pulled her into his arms. "We need to leave," he said, his voice trembling. "Now." They packed their essentials and fled the house, never looking back. The townspeople whispered about the couple who had lived there before, a family whose daughter had vanished mysteriously, her disappearance unsolved. The house remained empty, a dark presence lurking within its walls, waiting for the next unsuspecting occupants to listen to its whispers. And so, the house on the outskirts of town stood silent once more, the whispers confined to the attic, biding their time until someone else dared to disturb the watcher in the attic.